Hi, and welcome to Main Street AI, the podcast where traditional businesses are quietly revolutionizing their operations with artificial intelligence and winning. In this podcast, I sit down with industry leaders from law firms and professional services and other Main Street businesses to explore their AI journey. We dive into the opportunities they see, the challenges they're navigating, and the real impact of AI on their industries. Whether you're AI curious or ready to implement, this show brings you insights from leaders who are actually using this technology to serve customers better, empower employees, and drive profitable growth. Most people don't think about estate planning until they have to, and by then it's often more complicated and more expensive than it needed to be. Jane Sims of Sims Campbell has spent 25 years helping people avoid that outcome. Her boutique firm brings Harvard Law, Stanford, and Princeton credentials to a flat fee model that serves everyone from first-time planners to clients with multi-million-dollar taxable estates across 6 states. In this episode, Jane talks about the surprising complexity hiding inside even modest estates, how her firm is already using AI to cut through email overload, and why the best compliment she ever gets from a client is simply, "That really wasn't that bad." Let's dive in. Hi, welcome back to the Main Street AI podcast. This is Stephen Whittier with Satori Coach IO, and today I'm joined by Jane Sims of Sims Campbell. Jane, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you do, what your firm specializes in, and then we can go from there.
Sure. Well, I'm an estate planning attorney. We have a boutique estate planning firm, Sims Campbell, where we do estate planning, where people are deciding who they are leaving money to and in what form, as well as estate administration. So helping people after they've lost a loved one transfer their assets in a tax efficient and fair manner where we don't end up with a lot of people suing each other. So really try to make things run as smoothly as they can after someone passes away.
Yeah, and that is, and I do have some, experience in this, as many people do. It can be a very difficult time, not just because you're dealing with people that are actually grieving, but also people do tend to come out of the woodwork when there's an estate and inheritance, things like that. What are some of the biggest issues that are maybe not have to do with just the letter of the law and the legal contracts that you have to deal with there that you guide people through?
Well, there are always the tax issues where people don't realize that they live in a state, let's say like Maryland, where you have an estate tax exemption of $5 million, and what's included in that are, bank accounts, brokerage accounts, life insurance, business interests. And a lot of people fall into that bucket and they don't realize that they do. And suddenly they have a rude awakening when they have to pay, 16% of the assets over that amount to the state. So there are a handful of states that we practice in that have this kind of a state level estate tax. And I see people fall into that. The other issues are often people who didn't plan. For example, I'm working on an estate now where, there was no will. Everything ends up going to the elderly mother. There are debts all over the place. Nothing was cleaned up. We have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out where assets belong, where assets are, what debts need to be paid off, what debts don't need to be paid off. So that causes a lot of stress for the family that could be avoided by proper planning.
Right. So that actually leads me into my next question, which is, what are the big misconceptions or things that, people, because they're not, I'm talking about people who aren't in the legal field, who aren't attorneys, misconceptions or things that they just don't understand that you think that they should know, if you were to give them some advice about what you do.
Sure. Well, a lot of people think they can just print a will off of the internet. But what they don't realize is what they're missing there is sort of the wise counsel you can get from an experienced attorney in the field, because assets don't just pass by will. A lot has to do with how you title your assets. So, for example, if your will says, "I give everything to my children," but you have titled all of your real estate jointly with your third spouse, you're and your real estate's worth millions of dollars, you're basically disinheriting your children from from those assets because the title of that property will trump the will. So, you can think you've done a good job by signing the right document, but there's so much more than the document. There are lots of other ways by which property passes at death.
Do you find sometimes too that people assume that they would have to have a certain net worth before it would be worth uh, going down this road to talk to someone like you? Or would you say, this is really something pretty much everybody should be considering?
It's really something everyone should be considering because I find that it doesn't matter what the wealth level is. The complexity really comes from family issues and poor planning. So oftentimes it's more expensive for a family to administer a smaller estate that's poorly planned than a family who has millions of dollars to administer a more complex estate that's been properly planned.
Fantastic. Uh, Now I want to just move over to kind of talk about our central theme here, which is, emerging technology, specifically AI in the legal industry. I find it fascinating. Um, how are you thinking about it right now? What sort of trends are you seeing? If you're using it, anything along those lines?
So we have hired a company to help us fully utilize AI. And one thing that we find in the legal profession is that we are inundated with emails, like really substantive emails from clients, as well as like scheduling emails, like when can we meet? So our consultants are using large language models to filter our emails so that the scheduling emails go directly to, our assistants who can then immediately get back to the clients to schedule phone calls and meetings. And that weeds out about a third of our emails. We're also developing a system where, again, emails that are connected to a specific lawyer within the firm, but might just come to me because my name's on the door, get filtered to those lawyers so that there's not a bottleneck with me or with my partner, Frank Campbell, sort of sifting through emails that need to go to other people. Because oftentimes I was feeling like a triage nurse where I'm just like firing things off in different directions. And AI has helped us sort through that and get emails to the right people. So that's one way that we are using AI. The way that I would like to use AI more would be to summarize documents, to turn, like if I have written a client a memo, but that client is a very visual person and they'd rather see it in chart form, to have, a memo turned immediately into a chart. Um, what's held us back there is really privacy and confidentiality concerns. So we can't just, you know, feed our client information into ChatGPT and then share it with the world. So we really need sort of um, a closed loop system internally. And so we are now looking at which system we might want to purchase.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I find having these conversations, a lot of things that we're doing along are some are front end, like you're discussing. Others have to do with more of like the back end, like efficiency side of it. Absolutely.
Right.
But privacy and compliance is obviously a major concern. Um, what do you think you're most excited about for where this tech is going and the capabilities as we start to, move forward? It's already come so far so quickly.
Well, we have a huge database of client documents, and it would be great to have AI be able to sort through those and pull out particular provisions that we did for a client, 20 years ago that we might have in our system, but that we can't remember exactly which client it was from. But if we could, put the language in and have that come back to us. So sorting capabilities would be really valuable. I think drafting would be valuable as well. Right now, we use a system called Hot Docs to put our documents together, but it's clunky and it's very like formulaic. Wouldn't it be great if documents could be put together, more seamlessly by just putting in, prompts and then having the document be generated? And we are not there yet, but I am excited about, that technology coming online.
Absolutely. One question I'd like to ask too, just to get again where people's minds are at. If you were to go out 5 years from now, what do you think will look the same in your field versus what you think might look radically different based on where things are moving?
I think that what will look the same, what always should look the same, and I believe will look the same, is sort of the wise counsel, like
Mm,
where we really are advising clients on things like appointing guardians of minor children if you die while your children are still minors. I mean, you might automatically say, I'm going to appoint my brother and sister-in-law, but not think, well, what if they get divorced? Am I comfortable with my sister-in-law, or do I really want my kids with my blood relative? So things like that, I think always need, sort of the counsel of a lawyer who's had experience and seen what's happened with other clients. Um, but in terms of the actual production of documents and correspondence and memos and charts, I see that as becoming much more automated.
yes, absolutely. I think you're spot on too. You're the second person to actually use wise counsel or wise lawyer as an actual term for that quality that will not be replaced anytime soon, because there's so much experience and nuance there. But yeah, for sure, I think what will be consolidating a lot is some of the more production level of the legal industry. Yeah. I'll switch over now and just talk a little bit more about your business specifically. What would you say that you and your firm does extraordinarily well that sets you apart from others that might be in your same field?
I think what sets us apart is we are a boutique firm, um, and we do work at the level of sophistication of the large national firms. But we can do a lot of our work on a flat fee basis. We don't have to compete with a big corporate department or a litigation department. And we have a process where clients, can schedule, a 15, 20-minute call with one of our lawyers, and we can tell them on that call what the costs will be for the whole project and stick to that cost. And clients really like that. And I like it too, because we can avoid the whole arguing over hourly bills part of the legal process, which really isn't legal process. It's a business process, and it's something that we can we I feel like we've done a great job putting together. um, the other thing we have at our firm is we have a lot of expertise that you only find at larger firms. Like, for example, I've been practicing 25 years. I'm a graduate of Harvard Law School, master's degree from Stanford, undergraduate from Princeton. So I have the credentials of a large firm lawyer, but in this more accessible boutique model. And we practice in 6 different states. We practice in not just Maryland, where we're located, but DC, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, Arizona, Florida. Um, Probably forgot one, but yeah, 6 or 7 different states, I think.
That's excellent. Um, and then in terms of your client's perspective, what would you say is your positioning that you just mentioned? Is that tend to be reflected in what they say? After working with you, like I had this experience, but I didn't have to worry about all this back and forth around hourly, but it was
Yes.
just made it very.
Clients are so happy when we tell them what the process is, and they're like, "Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I like that." And then they're willing to have that initial call, because sometimes clients just want to come in and meet with you,
Mhm.
but I don't want them to have any surprise charges. I really want them to understand we can do this on a flat fee basis, and that first meeting is covered by the fee. But if we meet and don't proceed to do any documents, then I would charge for my time at the meeting, and I don't like to have to do that. I want it to all be included. And clients are really thrilled with that process. Now,
Right.
we can't do that for everyone. I mean, our firm represents clients of all levels of wealth. My specialty is really people who have taxable estates. So, 25, 30 million and above. And a lot of times we're doing complex wealth transfer transactions, and those I have to charge on an hourly basis for.
Yeah, that was my next question. I would imagine that you weren't exclusively fixed fee, but yeah,
Right.
that makes perfect sense. Yes. In terms of growth, uh, what stage would you say that your firm is in right now, and where are you looking to get to in the next 12 months or so?
I think we are in the middle stage of our growth at this point. It's been 7 years since I merged my small practice with my partner's small practice, so that we have offices in Annapolis and Towson, Maryland. Um, so we have about 13 lawyers and 15 or 20 staff members. The only thing that's holding back our growth is, the ability to attract and hire great lawyers.
Mm,
So we would be a lot bigger if we could, find the right people who, have the same commitment that we do to client service, to legal excellence. And it's tough to find people who are willing to take the leap and leave a big firm and come to a boutique firm, even though I really see it as the way, the sort of the way that law will be practiced in the future. I've thought this for many years, and I've seen a lot of the big firm practices shut down because they couldn't compete with the other areas of the law firm. So I think the future is in the boutique firm, but lawyers are often risk averse, so they feel more comfortable in the in the large firm environment. So it's been tough to attract them.
right. That does seem to be a common theme that I hear. Trying to find people that not just the quality, but also culture, uh,
Right,
and then there does seem to be a tremendous amount of turnover in the industry as well.
right. And we've been lucky that we have a very stable, workforce. Some of the lawyers I've been with for 18 years. So that has been really lucky. But of course, you always do have some turnover.
Right. Do you see the when you look at, say, what percentage growth that you want to achieve in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, when you start looking at that, um, have you looked at the technology piece as being part of that? Because obviously, scale comes with hiring more attorneys and support staff, but also now we're in an era where one of the conversations I'm having with folks a lot is, we also can grow revenue without not necessarily having to grow headcount as we start to,
Right.
more
And
efficient.
I would like to leverage that to a certain extent, but a lot of our business really is sort of the personal interaction with the clients. So, that we can't automate. So, we're sort of stuck in a position where, yes, we can automate a lot of the drafting,
Yes.
but not necessarily the meetings and the answering questions on an ongoing basis
Right.
that clients want.
Right.
Looking
At
back, maybe I
least we
should
can,
have gone
yeah, at
into a
least we can
business that is more scalable, but this is not super scalable.
right, right. Yeah, at least be able to free up the principal attorney's time more to be able to focus on that.
Yes.
Um, and then I always like to ask a question around this is essentially theory of constraints. So if you could wave a hypothetical magic wand and fix one thing that might be a limiting factor or a challenge in the business right now, what would that be?
That's a really good question. Um, what would be a limiting factor in the business? I mean, this doesn't sound very tech savvy, but it really is. I think it's lawyers. It's more people to give advice directly to clients. Um, I also, would like to see some of these large language models be more geared towards law firms and towards drafting, and I think that will help us scale somewhat.
Mhm.
But I still feel like we're limited in an old-fashioned sense by people.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the irreducible factor, right?
Right.
Excellent. And then those are all great observations. And where I always like to wind up, Jane, is just pull everything from the business to the personal. So I like to ask people about their own unique personal why for what they do every day. Because for almost everybody, I've had just a couple of conversations where they're like, "No, I'm in love with my business," which is a good thing. But mostly people have a motivating factor that goes deeper than just the desires to grow the firm and all of that. So, what would that be for you?
I really like helping people. When I went to law school, I was never interested in, going into litigation and spending my day fighting with others. I really wanted to help. I wanted to be useful. And I find that this area of the law is really truly a helping profession. We're helping people plan for their loved ones, plan for charitable giving, and also deal with something that feels overwhelming to them after someone passes away and they just have no idea how to deal with the court systems and how to deal with the tax issues. And, because we do it every day, we can give them peace of mind. Um, I always say that the best compliment that I can get after finishing working with someone, either on an estate plan or estate administration, is when they say, "Oh, that really wasn't that bad."
Right.
And that's a great compliment because no one ever says, "Oh, Jane, I love talking about death and taxes, and I could talk about death and taxes all day." No one's going to have fun with it, but if they feel relieved, then I've done my job.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Um, how can people best reach you if they're interested in getting some help, finding out more about this process?
Sure. Well, my email address is jsims, Jsims, at Sims Campbell, SIMSCAMP as in Paul, B as in boy, ELL.law. So it's .law, not .com. Our phone number is 410-828-7775, and our website is simscampbell.law. So you're welcome to look us up and look at all of our lawyers because it is not just me. Um, and I'm always happy to answer questions and interact with clients by email or phone or
Fan-
Zoom.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, we're in that era now too, right?
Right.
Fantastic. Really appreciate you coming on today, and this is great advice for everyone.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Take care.